Welcome to the Windsor Hub Snack Pack Bake. Nigel, what are we cooking today?
Today we're making scones. I'm going to cook mine with raisins, but you could use yours plain or with cheese. But before we do anything, we need to clean our surface. I'm going to be using a cloth and a cleaning surface. You only need a few sprays though, don't do too much. And now while you wait for that to dry, you need to wash your hands. These are the extra ingredients that you will need. You will need a scale. You will have a snapback card of the recipe, a rolling pin, a jug, a fork and a wooden spoon, a small bowl, a big bowl for mixing and a large baking tray. And now here's the ingredients. You will need 375 grams of plain flour. We're using self-raising flour because it's a mixture with plain flour and baking powder. You'll need 100 grams of caster sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 170 grams of butter, 1 egg, and 225 millilitres of milk. And if you want to, you can add your cheese to the pile, or you can add your raisins to the pile. And we also need a cookie cutter as well. Now for the first step. Firstly, you have to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Once you have done that, you want to lightly grease your baking tray. I've already washed my hands, so I'm going to spread some of the butter onto the baking tray. Here's a little trick. If you want to spread it more easily, take your baking tray and put it in the oven for about 20 seconds. What that's doing is it's warming up the baking tray, which makes it easier to spread. Once that's done, time to spread it. That's it. I'm going to weigh out the sugar now. Now do the rest for the dry ingredients. 5. Okay. And then. When you're measuring the salt out, don't measure the salt out over the bowl, just in case you don't put over too much. Once you've finished putting the dry ingredients into the bowl, you want to mix it together with a spoon. Once you've finished mixing them together, you want to measure out your butter. So that is 170. 31. 67. That much? 103. That should do it. Oh no. 137. Once you've measured out your butter, you want to rub it in with the dry ingredients. You're going to have to use your hands though. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to stir it in and then rub it in my finger. Rub it between my fingers. Once you've stirred it in for a little bit, you want to rub it between your fingers. The way I would do this is I would pick up a little bit and I'd start doing like this. So I'd start like rubbing my fingers together. To speed up the process, I'm going to use a fork to mash up the big lumps into smaller lumps. Once you've done that, you want to continue rubbing it in. You want to keep rubbing it until it looks like breadcrumbs. I'll show you. So it kind of looks like this. And it falls out your hands like that. Once we're done making it into a breadcrumb mixture, we want to measure out our milk. We're going to need 225 millilitres of it. To make this a bit easier, we're going to add the 1 egg into the milk. Okay. Now we're just going to whisk it in with a fork. Before we do anything, I'm going to add in my raisins. If you're going to do cheese, add it in now. But if you're going to do it plain, then flour the surface. I'm just gonna put just mix this in. Once we've done that, it's time to flour our surface. Once we've floured our surface, it's time to put our dough on. When you put the dough on, make sure you put it in the centre of where you've floured your surface. Once we've done that, we're going to put a little bit more flour on top of the dough so it's easier to knead. Once you've done that, you want to knead it.
Good.
Yeah. I'm going to use the flour around the surface just in case I run out. So we've kneaded out the dough, it's time to roll it out. I'm going to put a little bit more flour on the top so it doesn't stick. I'm also going to put it on the bottom as well. We're going to roll it out into 2 centimeters thick. The traditional way to do it is to cut it into 8 wedges, but I'm going to use a cookie cutter to do it. So I'm going to move it. Okay. Once you've cut out the shape, you want to put it onto your grease tray. You want to make sure you have about enough space between the two of them. Once you have run out, you have to re-roll out the dough. Once you finish cutting the shapes, you want to put it into the oven. You want to put it into the oven for about 15 minutes. While that's in the oven, let's clean up. The 15 minutes is done and it smells delicious. Let's see if they're ready. Oh wow, they look delicious. You should tell that they're done because they are golden brown. How would you have yours? Make sure you watch out for our next snack pack bake.